Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the San Gabriel City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, December 15th, 2020. I call this regular meeting to order at 6:33. Closed session report. Assistant City Attorney Lloyd Wilchin will now give the closed session report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Lloyd Pilchin. City Council met in closed session on two items that are listed on the agenda: conference with real property negotiators and conference with labor negotiators. On both of those items, direction was given. No reportable action was taken. A third item was added to the agenda, a ongoing case before the Public Employment Relations Board. The City Council will return to closed session after the open meeting to discuss that item. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Harrington.
Thank you, Mayor. Everyone please rise, place your right hand over your heart, face the flag and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Menchaca,
Here.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Here.
Councilmember Ding,
Here.
Councilmember Harrington,
Here.
Councilmember Pu.
Here.
We will start with some announcements from our Chief City Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tonight's meeting is live streamed on Cable Channel 3 and our online platforms. Please email all public comments to cityclerk@sgch.org no later than the time the item is considered by the council tonight. Comments will be read for up to 3 minutes each. Comments received after the end of the public comment section will be forwarded to the City Council after the meeting. If you wish to be added to the distribution list to receive City Council agendas, please email your request to cityclerk@sgch.org.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, next item, the approval of the agenda order. Staff has requested that item 4E, award of professional services agreement to North Star Land Care for citywide street tree maintenance services, be pulled from the consent agenda to be considered at a later time. Is there a motion to approve the agenda order as amended to remove item 4E?
So
Motion
moved.
to move.
Okay, so we have, let's see, Vice Mayor, I think, made the first, and who made the second? I couldn't recognize the voice. Is there a second? Oh, okay, I thought there was. I'll second it. Okay, so City Clerk, can you please take the vote?
Councilmember Ding,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Pu,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Aye.
and Mayor Menchaca.
Aye.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Great. Next item, please.
Presentations, COVID-19 briefing. Presentations will be made by Fire Chief Wallace, Police Chief Harris, and Assistant City Manager and Community Development Director Shabarian.
Okay, Chief Wallace, please begin.
Sure will, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor Menchaca, Vice Mayor Liao, and members of council. This is Steve Wallace, Fire Chief for the City of San Gabriel, and I have a brief update tonight on COVID in the city and its impact on fire department operations. As we know, today is December 15th, and LA County reported a staggering 11,194 new COVID cases within the county today. And sadly, there's been an additional 86 deaths. In the city of San Gabriel, the confirmed number of cases continues its steady climb to a cumulative total of 1,344. And Mayor, as you pointed out in your video update yesterday, the city has surpassed a very, very somber milestone of over 100 deaths, with now a total of 106 citizens who have succumbed to the virus within the city of San Gabriel. I will say though, within all this data, it's a small bit of optimistic news. The skilled nursing facilities in the city appear to have stabilized in regards to new cases and deaths. Fire Division Chief Davis and the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health continue to monitor the situation and are assisting the facilities as they reach out and request help. The fire department continues to see a large spike in call volume, specifically in the categories of persons sick, flu-like symptoms, and medical calls with no specific complaint. Area hospitals are feeling the pressure as well, and our San Gabriel firefighter paramedics are experiencing extended wait times for transfer of care once they arrive in the emergency departments. This is common across the county right now and is very, very common in the San Gabriel Valley. In spite of the increased workload, fire staff is still very healthy, and we continue to maintain our staffing and response times. We also have done a new inventory this week of our PPE and supplies, and are happy to say that we have very, very robust stocks of all the personal protective equipment that we need. And then finally for me tonight, EMS workers and police, I'm sure if you heard, are going to be starting to receive COVID immunizations. And through a cooperative effort of the Department of Public Health, the Emergency Medical Services Agency, San Gabriel Community Hospital, and the police and fire departments, COVID immunizations are going to schedule to begin tomorrow on a voluntary basis for our police and firefighters. This is going to be the Pfizer vaccine. San Gabriel Hospital will be doing the administrations as they have the facilities to properly hold the vaccines and the staff to immunize. So again, tomorrow, voluntary basis, frontline fire and police personnel will start to get their immunizations. Just like to remind everyone that it is still safe to call 911. It's safe for us to transport you to the hospital if that's where we need to go. And to please continue to take care of each other by wearing our face masks and maintaining our social distancing. And with that, I'd like to hand the mic off to Police Chief Harris.
Chief Harris?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council. Gene Harris, Police Chief for the City of San Gabriel. It's a very short COVID briefing for the police department. We are still, I want to assure the community, we are still 100% staffing and providing 100% of our services to this community. Again, I want to thank the members of the community for the immense voluntary compliance that we've been receiving with regard to all of the orders, stay at home and other Department of Health orders. We really do appreciate that, as do the other members of the community. Our PPE stocks are well stocked. We have quite a bit. In fact, we took a couple of donations today. We've also had the luxury of having folks businesses donating food to those first responders who are here on the 24/7 basis. And we really, really appreciate that. Again, it's because of those people and members of this community that we've been able to be as fortunate as we have been with regard to the impacts of some of the COVID-19 that we've been experiencing within the county. And so we want to continue that moving forward. We urge everyone to wear the mask and properly socially distance, and certainly to call us for any needs that you might have, either on our business line or for emergencies. Still call 911. Our response times are as good as they've ever been, and we are here to service you. Additionally, we are proud to serve with our brothers and sisters in the fire service. We're working hard to make sure that we're working together to bring that safety to the members of this community, protecting equipment, et cetera. And we're glad that this inoculation is coming out tomorrow, and that our staff has put together a process for which to get that equitably shared and get out to our folks so that we can continue to provide that service. There's no spikes in crime that are related to COVID. We've had a tapering off of calls for service. So nothing within that realm that is significant. And with that, that is the end of my report.
Great, thank you. And our Assistant City Manager, Community Development Director, Armine Shepherd.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. I wanted to take a few moments this evening and provide you with a brief update regarding our business grants and some of our economic development outreach efforts. To recap, the city received over $186,000 in our CDBG CARES Act program, of which we allocated it with over $50,000 for senior meals, which has completely been used. We allocated about $66,000 initially for the housing relief program, and $70,000 for the small business program. Despite receiving over 70 applications in the housing relief program, only 5 grants are being awarded, as many applicants or landlords didn't provide the requested information, didn't meet the CDBG requirements, or didn't want to agree to the requirements of the program. As for the business grants, we had over 450 businesses apply that wanted to be selected and were willing to participate in the lottery. The City Council Ad Hoc Subcommittee focused on business outreach, and they were out there working very hard to canvass the city, providing information to our businesses, and they were working with us to pull the lottery list. And initially, 26 of the 28 business grants have been funded, with the last of the checks being mailed out this week. 2 businesses are working on submitting their verification, and we're hoping to complete their grant applications as well. Since City Council's approval at its last meeting in December, in the beginning of December, to shift the $61,000 in the unused housing funds to the small business grant program, we actually put that information out. And because we already had applicants who had applied, we were able to pull another batch of businesses to work with and pre-qualify. Our subcommittee met again, and we went back to our lottery system. And currently we're working with the businesses we've pulled through the lottery process, and we're hoping to be able to award 24 additional business grants. I also want to mention that in our last council meeting, we heard some discussion regarding the LA County Keep Dining Grant Program. Interestingly enough, that program became available literally a few days later. We did put that information out to all of our businesses. We don't have a way of knowing how many have applied, but we are certainly hoping that several of them, if not many of them, have taken advantage of that. That program was being managed by the county, and the portal to apply was really open for a very short period of time. So we sent it out several times to our business community, and we are hoping that some of them took advantage of it. In our efforts, we've also had 15 businesses sign up to participate in our holiday gift giving guide. We've put that information out as well. It's a way for us to encourage local shopping during the holidays. And we are continuing to update our restaurant guide and sending out regular economic development updates. I think we're averaging at least 2 a week. This concludes my hopefully brief update, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay, council, any questions? Councilmember Ding.
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Ding, I saw him first.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, okay. I got some press give me the information they say from the LA County CDC. The report say where San Gabriel have like confirmed like probably 1,200 confirm. This is a question for the Chief Harris. Okay, but the deaths have the 106 compare our neighborhood city like Temple City only 53, Monterey Park 61, Alhambra even more than confirmed for the case, but the deaths just 36. Why our city of San Gabriel is higher the death rate? Yeah.
Councilmember Ding, Chief Wallace, I think I can jump in and get that for Chief Harris. That's a very good question, and that's something that we look at and have noticed since the beginning of this pandemic, that our death rate has climbed a little bit higher than the surrounding communities. And I don't have a real good linear answer for you on that. Some of it could be that we have the convalescent home facilities that are experiencing deaths, but I don't have a complete linear answer to say why San Gabriel is having a higher death count than the rest of the cities around us.
Okay. Thank you, Henry. Chief Wallace. Yeah.
Okay, Vice Mayor Lau.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I did talk to the executive director of AHMC. They own 10 hospitals right now, but in San Gabriel Valley, they own the San Gabriel Medical Center, Alhambra, and also Garfield, Monterey Park, in this neighborhood. Yeah, they told me that they're going to get, I'm not talking about the district, they're going to get the 4,000 vaccines, but it's not from Pfizer. It's from Moderna, because I think they don't have the freezer yet. And so they have to use that dry ice to keep low temperature. So my question is, well, it's great news that we're getting this immunization, and starting from tomorrow, this is great. But how many will be allocated to our fire and police first, I guess? And if it's Pfizer, I think that they're good. I 95% effective, so it should be okay. So do you know how many going to receive tomorrow, and how many later on? Because I believe they got to have two shots. So after for Pfizer, I think 28 days. I believe it's 28. Either one is 21 days or 28 days. Then they're gonna need a second shot. So, do you know the timeline? How many are going to receive them, and what about the rest of the staff and the public? When they're going to receive them?
Let me break that down into a couple of answers for your excellent questions. We are, as far as I know, and what I've been getting is starting with the Pfizer vaccine, and it is being shipped in pods that have 50 pounds of dry ice for every 20 pounds of medication. And at this point, it is going to be stored in that. I don't have a specific number of doses that San Gabriel Hospital has received. However, I can tell you that the Emergency Medical Services Agency has allocated both the first and second doses for all of our actual licensed firefighter paramedics. So given that we have 30 of our 36 vacancies filled, we have an allocation of 30 of both doses that will be coming in to the medical center for us. And I imagine that is going to be a similar number for the frontline police. It is 21 days apart between the first and second dose on the Pfizer vaccine, and the Moderna is 28 days. There's a little bit of leeway if someone misses a day, but we're going to be watching that very closely and get the folks that are wanting to do this. We'll make sure they're scheduled to get in and get both doses on time. As we move down the line and we get the skilled nursing facility, both patients and staff immunized, the hospital staff immunized, and the frontline EMS workers immunized, then we move into the phase 2, which is more of the police and fire and essential workers. And then as we move down the line and those get immunized and more vaccinations become available, then it starts getting released to the general public based on need and risk category. I hope that answers your question.
Very good. So, well, one last question, just in case, some of these firefighters say, well, no, I'm not comfortable to take the vaccine right now. Maybe I'll wait. So what are you going to do with the 30 in case, it's maybe a couple of them, they don't want to take them this time? You're going to give it to someone, maybe to police or to our city staff?
With the 30 that are allocated, if it's not used, it's going to either go back to the hospital stock to replace what we've used before they have their full allocation, or we will return it to the Emergency Medical Services Agency, and it'll be reallocated dependent on need and who's next in line. I don't have a firm number of the number of our folks in fire that are going to do it. It is voluntary. They overall have been very, very receptive to the idea. There may be some that want to take a wait and see approach and see what kind of side effects or after effects happen with this. But all in all, it looks like we'll have very, very good participation within the fire department.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Okay, well then let's move to the next item. Next item, please.
Public comment. This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the city council on items of interest that are not on the agenda, but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the San Gabriel City Council. Madam Mayor, we do have one comment tonight, and it reads as follows. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Mario Pace, and I have been a resident of San Gabriel for over 50 years. I am writing to voice my disappointment about the HERE Commission meeting that took place on December 3rd, 2020. To be more specific, I am writing to address the lack of notification given to the public about this meeting. I saw no mention of this meeting on the city website. There was no mention of it on the city calendar, no banner on the website, nothing. By luck, I happened to come across the meeting on YouTube, but unfortunately it was drawing to a close. Later, I found mention of it on the city's Twitter account, but to me, that is not sufficient public notice, especially for a meeting that was hosted by the city and with the mayor, a council member, and the city manager all present and working in their official capacity. If this commission is as important as some of the council members believe it is, a better job of notifying the public of its meetings is imperative. It is sad to think that so few of the public were actually able to ask questions to our city officials directly because of so little outreach to the residents, which is ironic because outreach is supposedly the foundation of this commission. I understand this was not a full council meeting or a meeting of a commission that has been fully formed, so I am guessing it doesn't require the same standard of notification as those, but you can't assume posting it on one social media platform is sufficient. This should have posted on the city's website in a way that was easy to find. Thank you. And that concludes public comment.
Okay, thank you. Next item.
Consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine, and recommendations will be approved in one motion unless a member of the city council or public requests separate discussion. Madam Mayor, we have not received requests from the public to pull any items.
Okay, would any council member like to pull an item for separate discussion? Okay, I see none. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Pu. Okay, Chief City Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Ding,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Pu,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Aye.
Mayor Menchaca.
Aye.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Okay, next item, please.
Public hearing. This is a continuation, 414 to 420 South San Gabriel Boulevard, planning case numbers ZC19-001, zone change and plan development overlay zone, TMAP 19-008, tentative parcel map, and mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program. Applicant is 1784 Capital Holdings LLC. Presentation will be made by Senior Planner Matt Chang.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. For your consideration tonight, plan development or a zone change application and a tentative parcel map application are in front of you for the proposed self-storage and our studio development at 414 and 420 South San Gabriel Boulevard. The request zone change is to change the property zoning from C3, which is commercial and limited manufacturing zone, to C3 PD, which is C3 plan development overlay zone. The request also includes the merger of 11 parcels into one parcel. This project was presented to the City Council meeting at its November 17th public hearing. The council reviewed the project and request staff and the applicant to provide additional information. This item was continued to tonight's meeting. At last council meeting, the council requested the applicant to provide a detailed market study to demonstrate the feasibility of self-storage operation. The applicant has provided a detailed market study as attachment C in your packet, and the applicant's team is available tonight to answer questions regarding the study. Another item council requests is for staff to explore the possibility that to reallocate project development impact fees. For example, moving a portion of sewer fee to police and fire facility fees. The current impact fee formula was adopted by City Council in 2004. Initial rate was established and the fee is increased annually based on construction cost index or consumer price index. Staff has researched the city ordinances and the San Gabriel Municipal Code, but was unable to find any language to allow the redistribution of the total fee collected. Therefore, staff is recommending the council to maintain the current fee formula. In addition to the impact fee, the applicant has volunteered to contribute $200,000, with $100,000 to our police department and another $100,000 to our fire department. The contribution amount will be used for the improvement or maintenance of police and fire facilities. A letter from the applicant is attached in your packet. In conclusion, staff is recommending the council to approve the proposed project at 414 and 420 South San Gabriel Boulevard. Before staff concludes staff's presentation, staff would like to mention that we also have Public Works Department staff as well as city's environmental consultant here tonight to answer project-related questions. And this concludes staff's presentation, and staff is available for questions.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Chief City Clerk, is there any additional public comment from this item since the comment received at the November 17th meeting?
No, Mayor, no additional comments.
Okay, so I now close the public hearing, and we will now begin the council deliberation and discussion. Would any council members have any additional comments or concerns?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Mark. I do think that the applicant has a presentation that they wanted to give to the council
okay.
tonight. It's
Okay.
entirely up to the council if you want to receive that presentation, but they have made that request.
Okay, well, I don't see any objection if they're here with the presentation. Who will be doing the presentation? Name of the person?
Hi, this is Shane Swerdlow from Craig Lawson and Company. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. So I'll be giving brief remarks, and I will also introduce the members of our team who are available to answer any questions that you may have. Honorable Mayor and City Council, this is Shane Swerdlow, a land use consultant at Craig Lawson and Company based in Los Angeles. On behalf of 1784 Capital Holdings and our project team, I would like to thank you for the time you have devoted to our transformative project with a unique mix of uses, climate-controlled self-storage, and artist and maker studios. As Matt described, two key follow-up items were identified at our November 17th hearing. First, our applicant team was asked to provide additional data and analysis regarding the high demand for self-storage in San Gabriel. In addition, Council asked city staff to explore the possibility of reallocating the distribution of approximately $1.3 million in development impact fees for this project. Regarding the first item, 1784 Capital Holdings is an experienced developer that collaborates with industry leaders to perform thorough due diligence when evaluating the feasibility of development sites and ensuring success of their national portfolio. As they've done with many projects, 1784 engaged Robert Francis of the Heron Group to prepare the market study included as attachment C to the staff report. Robert is on the line to answer any questions and has decades of California, national, and international experience in the operation, management, and economic analysis of self-storage developments. He's also a longtime leader and educator for premier trade organizations, including the Self-Storage Association. In summary, the Heron Group report identifies significant self-storage demand of approximately 900,000 square feet within a very conservative 2-mile radius and 8-minute commute time from the project site. Deducting approximately 500,000 square feet of existing self-storage inventory in this target market, there is unmet demand of approximately 400,000 square feet. Demand for conveniently located self-storage continues to increase as more multifamily housing development is developed in the region and people live in smaller dwelling units. In addition, a wide array of commercial businesses, freelancers, sales reps, and other professionals increasingly rely on self-storage as an efficient, convenient, and secure way to store records, files, and supplies. Self-storage therefore plays an important role in sustaining economic growth and development. 1784 also has a long history working with Talinvest Capital, which is known nationally as the leading self-storage finance advisory firm and underwriter, having closed over $8 billion of storage financing since the mid-1990s. Within the city staff report packet, pages 76 and 77 include a letter from Talinvest expressing their strong confidence in the viability of this project. Regarding development impact fees, we respect the city staff recommendation to maintain existing fee formulas for this project. As a committed corporate neighbor to the residents of San Gabriel, 1784 is proud to contribute additional payments on top of the approximately $1.3 million in development impact fees as described in Attachment D of the staff report and Condition 22 of the proposed ordinance. These voluntary payments include $100,000 toward the San Gabriel Fire Department and $100,000 toward the Police Department to be used toward acquisition, improvement, and maintenance of facilities and equipment. In total, 1784 will be investing well over $2.3 million into the community, when also accounting for permitting fees, substantial right-of-way infrastructure and streetscape improvements, including widening Gladys Avenue by 25 feet, undergrounding utility lines, and upgrading sidewalks and pavement, as well as installing solar and sustainable infrastructure and completing tenant improvements for the Artists and Makers Studios. We remain particularly excited about the role that Artists and Makers Studios will play in enhancing the city's artistic and cultural community with space for the creation and sale of art, as well as ground floor community meeting room that will be available for programming and gallery exhibits. This use will activate and enliven the San Gabriel Boulevard frontage on a site that transitions from a major commercial corridor to an industrial district. In conclusion, 1784 Capital Holdings is proud to join the San Gabriel community and committed to making this project a reality, while providing the essential convenience of climate-controlled self-storage and cultural offerings of Artists and Makers Studios. And before we move on to Q&A, I'd like to introduce the members of our project team who are on the phone to answer any questions, including Kelly McCone from 1784 Capital Holdings, Judith Hartsong from Artists and Makers Studios, Robert Francis from the Heron Group, Michelle Bach from EAPC Architects and Engineers, traffic consultant Chin Tang from LLG Engineers, and attorney Andrew Fogg from Cox Castle Nicholson. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll turn back to council. Are there any further discussion, questions that council may have from our last public hearing?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Pu?
Yes, thank you. So I would like to thank the applicant for the additional data. This market feasibility report is a lot more thorough than the previous one that was provided to us. I'm still curious, though. I'm not convinced how the methodology of calculating the estimated demand for this market at 938,350 square feet of space. Can you shed some light on that, please?
Absolutely. I'm going to direct your question to Robert Francis from the Heron Group.
Good evening. If I'm a little slow, it's because it's 10 o'clock in Orlando and I got up at 4:30 this morning. So hope you forgive me on that. Methodology is pretty compact when you project for these facilities. I've been doing this for about 35 years, actually 37. And as Sean had said, I've worked in 33 states, Canada, Australia, England. The industry is the industry. It tends to function about the same regardless of where you take it. In the United States, there's somewhere between 8 and 9 square feet of storage per capita. There's about 20 square feet of self-storage per household. What we did in these projections were took a very conservative 2-mile radius around the site and applied 16 square feet per household and or 9 square feet per capita to try and extrapolate and see where we thought that market was going to go. We then looked at about an 8-minute commute time. Incidentally, people are typically, and I can provide support for this if you'd like, willing to drive about 15 minutes. So anything less than that is conservative. So we applied those same numbers, the 9 and the 16 square feet, both per capita and per household, and developed essentially an average between those 2 points. And that's what's driven our projections for the site.
So just to reiterate there, because I think maybe your explanation was a little bit unclear. You're saying that the demand for additional storage beyond what a household would normally have is 16 square feet per household and 9 square feet per capita?
That's typically what, excuse me a moment. I apologize. That's what we were projecting, 9 square feet per capita and or 16 square feet per household. So we look at both of those numbers and try and determine where likelihood is in the projections. And we look at it on both the radius and the drive time.
Mm-hmm. And then is there a difference in this industry data between multifamily and single family residential households?
You know, it's most interesting. There is some, but it's very light. They used to be more defined, or used to claim to be more defined with that information. They did discover that homeowners rent more space than tenants, which makes sense if you figure you're in it for the long haul. Once you buy a place, if it starts to get crowded, if you're renting, you may think, well, I'll get a new lease next year and move. So I guess that's the logic behind that. The Storage Association conducts a study based on demand, and they do it about every 3 years. It's conducted by a guy named George Leon, and I'd be happy to send a copy of that to you if you wish, if that would help. But it kind of qualifies what the important components are for storage. And it's that it's seen on a routine basis. And despite the many benefits of the internet when it comes to locating storage or pricing storage, it's drive-bys. The majority for the past 10 years now, I'm sorry, 12 years, of users claim they pass the facility and they see it on a daily or a weekly basis. And that's between homework or shopping, or homeschool and shopping, as the case may be. So if you're in those drive lanes or adjacent, that's the critical location.
The average number of households, based on the demographic data that you presented, being at three per household, how do you account for the difference then of 16 square feet of demand per household and 9 square feet per capita? Because 9 square feet per capita would then total 27 square feet per household if you just do the math.
That's why I said you trend it, and you trend it to the neighborhood. There are parts of the country where it's really the other way. I told you the national average was 20. In parts of the Midwest, where houses are larger, the household average consumption is probably more like 25 square feet. And that's based on my experience in Southern California, where we came with the 9 and the 16. I've been doing work there since 1987. So and there are parts of Southern California, interestingly enough, that the market's filled and the average per capita consumption exceeds 12 square feet. So as surprising as that sounds, it's just the way those markets react. And every neighborhood or micro market, if you will, is different in that regard.
Okay. And just so I'm clear, though, it sounded like you said that actually in the Midwest, where homes tend to be larger, there's actually more demand for self-storage.
Not necessarily more, but it's larger. The average unit types tend to be larger there. In areas that tend to be more, the more dense the area, usually demand is strong on a per capita basis, as you might imagine. And if it's dense, typically the homes or the apartments are a little bit smaller.
Right. That's what I would expect, is the smaller the home size, the greater the demand for storage.
Exactly. It's pretty logical thinking on that.
Maybe so you were commenting more with respect to the product mix. Maybe
Correct.
With larger homes, the demand would be for larger units, larger
That-
self-storage
that's-
units.
That's correct. That's well said.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'll reserve the rest of my comments.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments from council? Okay, I see none. Did you have any more comments, Councilmember Pu? You said you reserve.
Well, I still am, obviously have not applied, this is new information, right? The 16 square feet of demand per household. And I would have liked to be able to see then, even though it's sort of embedded in the demographic data presented, obviously it would be nice to have just it all tabulated, right? Like you could say within that 8-minute drive radius or the 2-mile radius, there are X number of households, and therefore based on this demand, that's how we reach this number. I can't really confirm at this point in time whether that all that math works out, but assuming, so in other words, there's still an assumption there that it does. So I don't know. I guess I'm still somewhat skeptical and/or unconvinced a little bit. I would love to be able to see some validation. And I don't know if staff has any comments or with respect to those calculations, because I seem to recall in the city of San Gabriel we have something in the neighborhood of 6,000, over 6,000 units of single-family residences, and I don't quite recall the number of multifamily units. I want to say it's somewhere in that neighborhood as well. Now, the city itself is only 4 square miles, and you can tell from the maps that the radii that the market feasibility study uses extend well beyond the borders of the city of San Gabriel itself. But I wouldn't say that our surrounding neighborhoods are much different from us in terms of housing mix and therefore numbers of households and numbers per capita. It's not as if, Alhambra or Monterey Park or Temple City is much denser than we are. Rosemead might be somewhat so, but I think even just based on the population, it's actually about the same in terms of density with respect to San Gabriel. So anyways, I don't know if it's possible to get some some feedback from staff as to whether or not the number of housing units within the radii selected by the developer multiplied by the average demand that we've just been provided actually totals the 900, like close to 1 million square feet of self-storage space that is potentially the entire market for our area.
Councilman Pu, it's Mark Lazaretto. Anything tonight would be just a guess. And we could certainly do a guess, but it's not going to be worth a whole lot. But we do have a second reading for this item, so we'd be more than happy to provide in January that specific breakdown. And I know that doesn't help you with your decision tonight, but if you're looking for that exact calculation for what they use, I'm sure we can work with the developer to get that number and have that on the staff report for that January 2nd reading.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. I guess, yeah, I mean, the data, we should be able to independently verify because the data here is the Esri data that is, available to anybody as far with respect to numbers of households. And we can look at the same radii that they are looking at. Anyways, yes.
I'm sorry, sir. To your point, yes, we can independently verify that. We just can't do it right now, but absolutely we can. We have census maps we can use. We have all sorts of data we can use to look at that on our own. We just wouldn't be able to do it on the fly tonight.
Understood. Absolutely. No problem. Well, I'm open to hearing the comments of my colleagues as well.
Okay, Great, thank you, Councilman. Well, I'll start. I was pleased with the project the first time. I continue to be supportive of this project. I think it's, there's some variety there. It's not the same type of project that we usually get. I like the fact that we'll have some community space, we'll have an art gallery. You know, the possibilities are there to make this just a real nice center in a very busy street, San Gabriel Boulevard. And we have some neighboring restaurants. We have our brewery down the street. You know, I just think it's a great project. And so I don't have any objections. I would like to move forward with it, make the motion as recommended. But those really are my only comments, unless I see Vice Mayor has a comment too.
So, yeah, I like to echo Madam Mayor's comments. Yeah, this is a beautiful project. I haven't, seen any self-storage this beautiful, and I like the idea that they have this artist studio, especially for community meetings, and I'm sure all these artists around San Gabriel Valley, they will be thrilled to hear about this good news. And also, I'm happy to see that they like to increase $200,000 impact fee, $100,000 for police, and $100,000 for fire. I do support this project, so I'd like to second, since Madam Mayor already motioned, and I'd like to second your motion. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, before we take the
Yes.
vote, can I ask one additional question of staff?
Of course.
Thank you. So I'm just curious, because this is relatively atypical development for the San Gabriel community, in other communities in which staff has worked, whether, and any staff member, from city manager on down, Armene, Samantha, or any of the other community development staff, that is Matt, that is on the call now. I guess my question is with respect to whether you've experienced any changes in the image or reputation of the city, after giving effect to a self-storage facility. So for example, I know this facility does have, it has not gone through the precise plan of design yet, so we don't really know for sure exactly. But in general, like a modern design and so forth, obviously would be more attractive than what's there now. But at the same time, sometimes these sort of semi-industrial uses of self-storage then could, provide a drag on with respect to other types of development that we might want to encourage in the immediately sort of surrounding neighborhood. Whether or not a commercial project would want to be located next to self-storage, I guess those are the types of sort of ripple effects that I'm asking about now, in terms of whether or not there are other considerations that we should at least factor into our decision making here.
Councilman Pu, I'd be happy to start and then open it up to anybody who has personal experience in that as well. I've had a couple of projects I've worked on in my career that are similar to this. In my experience, the sort of lower density, sprawling self-storages are ones that tend to take away, but the larger industrial looking ones tend to fit in with those communities, whether they're more industrial or office or even high density residential, and it fits with that. And I'll tell you two just anecdotal pieces that I have experienced in my dealing with these projects. One is that we ended up finding more business tenants use the units than we would have thought for, and especially now as we get into a gig economy and others, it actually provides a synergy to some of the office and especially home-based business uses. So it adds to the economy in that respect rather than taking away. The second thing I've noticed in my career is that if there's not a pent-up demand for industrial, for storage, and you're putting too much in one area, I have seen and have actually been a part of a project where neighboring self-storage uses sued the potential project based on economic downturns that they were going to see, because there was going to be too much self-storage and it would create a drag on the economy. So I've actually seen the opposite happen when there's too much self-storage, that they have come out and sort of self-police. And the last thing I'll say, and I don't want to sound too much like a proponent for the project because I'm not, but self-storage doesn't bring a lot to the community as far as revenue for our city. I'll say to the community, but for our city. And so it does bring a little bit of sales tax with the moving and storage stuff that they sell. And in this case, they'll bring a benefit with the artist and maker studio. But from a getting back to the city standpoint, it doesn't provide as much benefit as a residential or a commercial project would. So for my money, if we're going to do one, it should be as big as possible, because the property tax and that side of it is what the benefit's going to be to the city. So if we're going to do one, I suggest we do one big rather than small, or don't do it at all, because there are other uses that would be for that site would be a better impact for the community.
Right. Thank you, Mark. And that is definitely something in the back of my head, where rental of self-storage is not something that brings, the city revenue. Some of the analysis provided suggests that it's akin to a hotel, but hotel brings transient occupancy tax, but whereas this doesn't bring any additional revenues for the city, other than, as you mentioned, the increased tax base in terms of assessed value once the project is done. Did other staff members have anything that they wanted to add to that?
I'll second to what Mark was saying. In some communities I've worked in, there's been several facilities. Unfortunately, not overall, there hasn't been as much thought put in some of those facilities in other communities I've worked in. So I think if I was to compare, I think this project is a lot more well thought out. And I think it's not necessary, it's not a commercial use, it's not a residential use, but it actually is a service in a way. And compared to some that I've seen in other communities, this is actually a much better design overall. I think it provides kind of different types of things as part of the development, because I'm thinking of at least two in a previous community I've worked in where they didn't look anything close to what this particular project is proposing to do. And in some ways, they actually took down the value of the area they were in. So if I was to compare, not only will I second all the things Mark has said, but I would also say that in other cities, there are facilities you'll see that actually don't help the city. They do the opposite. So I think this, I'm sure there's still questions, but overall, I do think that the developer did take their time in trying to come up with something that they felt would be a better fit in San Gabriel, especially because this isn't just going to be a draw for our residents. I think it's also going to bring in people outside of the city. So I do think they did put effort in doing that. I don't know if Sam or Matt have any experiences they'd like to share.
Yes, this is Samantha. To add on to what Mark and Armine had mentioned, the trend that I was seeing in the past agency that I work with, as far as design is concerned, what the types of application that were coming in would be drive-up units, single-story. And so the trend and what you're seeing now is multi-story walk-up, relying less on the vehicle truck drop-off for the storage. And so even during the time in leaving my prior jurisdiction, there were actually multiple applications in the pipeline. One had recently been entitled for a 3-story development. There was also another application being made, and then 2 more that was being sought out within the city's industrial manufacturing area. So, that's just speaking for one jurisdiction. It doesn't necessarily apply to all, but as far as the trend for storage, that's what at least we were seeing in my prior jurisdiction. And typically they would either be located around areas that already had existing storage facilities, ironically, or if not, as Mark mentioned, around office space areas. And so because their designs were going vertical and it was walk up, as far as the aesthetics of the design, it would be consistent. If they were located in office areas, it would be consistent in designs in that way. And not only for new construction, but even some of the existing public storage facilities were coming in to explore ideas to redesign their building to introduce the walk-up option.
Okay, thank you both for those. Any other staff members?
Council member,
Yes, ma'am.
just want to kind of close the comments. And we did take this project to Design Review Commission as a preview last month, and the Design Review Commissioner provide a favorable design review comment toward this project, because the project was designed more toward an office building, which is you don't see the typical cargo door to the storage space. So, and the other thing is they definitely were interested and excited to see the public art component that will be facing San Gabriel Boulevard. I think this is definitely one of the benefit that it may not be measured in a dollar amount, but there's definitely a benefit to the city that as one of the main arterial street, you'll see a public benefit. Public art facing San Gabriel Boulevard, but also a public art studio facing the boulevard.
No, I don't recall. Is there a specific dollar amount associated with the public art condition of approval?
We don't have specific conditions. A public art will be subject to the Design Review Commission for review or approval. If
But
council
there's a condition of a public art component, is there not?
yes.
Okay.
And
Well,
the applicant
I
is
think we-
proposing to have public art. Yes.
Obviously fronting and facing San Gabriel Boulevard, correct? So I think in general, thanks for everybody's comments. I think that, I do like the idea of the community space, but I've noted that in the previous review that that's only 600 square feet, which is not very large. I think I would feel better about it if that was actually larger. The artist studios is kind of like co-working for artists, which I don't oppose at all, but actually, if there were something that might be more forward thinking would just simply be co-working and accounting for, as Mark had mentioned, the gig economy. So I think there are a couple of other trends here that are things that we should also consider in terms of how we are thinking about the future programming of the entire corridor. It's clear that there's a couple of my colleagues who already are supporting. I personally am not sure it's the right thing to do for this particular area. Yeah, again, if the community space were larger, because I can think that the couple of other things that I'll just briefly touch upon before concluding is I do think we want to try to encourage more commercial office development in the area, and it's possible that the presence of abundant public, self-storage space might actually encourage some of that kind of commercial office development. Because I think that it would be better for the city if we did have a larger professional employment base, and yeah, I think that, but it does seem to me to be a chicken and the egg problem, perhaps, in the sense that, I'm not sure that just having self-storage will then encourage commercial office. I would think that typically would go the other way around. But it is, I think, a very good point that you make, Mark, that actually commercial office tenants and businesses may be actually a more stable or reliable source of self-storage demand than even residential, as people move here in and out, if they're, especially in the non-homeowner or tenant sort of portion of the market. So I think that those do weigh in favor of the project, trying to encourage more commercial office development and/or just having more professional businesses located within the city. The sort of not as much of a great benefit in terms of revenue is, I think, a drawback or disadvantage of this project. I do appreciate the additional consideration for, $100,000 for police, $100,000 for fire. I will note, however, that other projects that we have recently reviewed have offered more, and that those overall packages seem to be more in line with the extent of the variance being requested. So again, it's a big project, and then we have so little commercial land in the city that's where my reticence comes from. I think I could maybe get there if staff validates it on the demand side for 1,500 plus units. Yeah, thinking about then the rest of the corridor, and also what do we want San Gabriel Boulevard to look like? I think part of what I'm trying to get at is that I don't want it to look like a hodgepodge, that's for sure. And this project wouldn't necessarily by itself create that effect. But as we think about what else is going up around it, or could potentially go up around it, then I don't want to, I don't want the opportunity cost to be too great, right? I don't want to, like, by doing this now, then sort of not preclude, but sort of tend to discourage other types of development that we might want to invite into the city. So just again, general thoughts and comments about that, and why I feel like I'm still not sure that this is the right type of project for that location and for our city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Pu. So we have a first and a second. Lloyd, I'm going to ask you, should I read out what the actual motion is according to the recommendations listed? Do you think it's best for me to read it one by one? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Ding. I did not see you.
Okay.
Comments?
All right, it's fine. Yeah, I understand the council member put consideration. Okay, but I just have my viewpoint. Okay, so first of all, okay, just asking the Harmony. So for current their property, how much value they have, and the question is after develop, how much value? So I think there will be it's at least generally like some property tax for the city, right?
Yes, sir, we will be receiving property tax. As to what the current value is, I don't have that information in front of me. We currently get additional information on the current value and find out. I don't have that information readily available.
Okay, so anyone can answer this question?
Vice Mayor Lau, you can answer the question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to volunteer because I know the area, and JD Plumbing been there forever, and the vacant parking lot is for buses, and it's a blight area for the city of San Gabriel. It has never received any commercial activities in that area. And so this is about time to improve that general area. And especially before, because we have the railroad go through, and of course, it'll affect the businesses. But now it's underground, so it's making better. There's a project, it's called the Sky Court, north of this project, and it's a mixed-use project. Okay. However, because the in and out of this, mixed use is very difficult. So they used the Gladys, that's the street, east of San Gabriel Boulevard. And I'm so happy that the developer willing to give up the 20 feet of this lot and to widen the Gladys Street and so make it better. And so this project will bring in more new project, because I look at this beautiful design, even though it's a self-storage building, but it's just beyond believable, because most of the self-storage you see are just one warehouse, the small individual warehouse, and our neighboring city has a lot of, especially Alhambra, starting from Fremont all the way to Garfield, but it's along the Mission Drive. But not in San Gabriel. The only one that we have right now is right next to this project, along the railroad. But again, it takes forever for a new building to come in. I do appreciate anything that wants to improve that our city. For instance, we talk about the bowling alleys being closed for 30 some years. And, we gave the, entitlements and still it's not happening. And hopefully one day they will get the construction loan and start building it. These developments takes time, 30 years, 40 years. So it's not happening anything right away. And I'm glad, because this corner, this lot is not in real good situation right now. I appreciate Councilman Dean mentioned, what kind of value for real estate. Nothing. It's just storing junks, so I like to see improvements for our city. And but again, I support this project. Thank you.
Okay, would staff like to respond to Councilmember Ding in any other way? Yeah, I see none. Councilmember Ding?
Yeah, okay, no, but I just use the, I know the knowledge. If the property, if we have a new development, the county should do the reassessment, right? For my understanding, and value should be increased, and also help city got the more revenue from the property tax. That's at least these things I can see. They can bring some, instead of right now sitting on there, it's a lower property tax, and after developed, they will be higher property tax. I understand it should be bring more revenue for the city. And another thing is, I think, for my understanding, currently, I know that, yeah, I wish like also have the like more like office on the San Gabriel Boulevard. It's fine, but the reality, for my understanding, I'm not like it's a real estate like a professional like the Vice Mayor Liao, but I know right now not too many people want the office space. Reality, a lot of office space it's vacant. Okay, most I think, especially our San Gabriel, just like a restaurant. Okay, and so I don't know. Okay, but maybe self-storage probably help them got the more like based on they do the like research. Hopefully they can get they can running the business successful. But I like their also I like their design. Not looks like the self-storage, and plus they have the artist the studio. I talked I asking the some community members, hey, probably future we have the more space can have to the artists. So okay, a lot of the community they like it, so they like it, this kind of more idea. The more like we have to have space to do the multicultural. Okay, so yeah, and plus they I think they are really do the good things for the based on the last meeting. They like support our police department and the fire department, especially on the pandemic. So yeah, I appreciate their developer to do that. Yeah, and for myself, yeah, I agree. The council member pool, maybe hopefully they like artists that they can have the like more public space, not just 600, probably more than 1,000 square footage space for the community. That's the suggestion. Okay, but I for me, yeah, it's yeah, like this kind of the project. Okay, thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Mark, do you want to follow up?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to answer Councilman Ding's question. When he asked what the value was going to be, we don't know what that value is going to be. I mean, if the developer knows, maybe they'll offer it up. But to answer your question about the reassessment, absolutely. We will have whatever the new value of the property is after construction. The county will reassess the property at that new value, and they will pay taxes based on that new value. And it's not just the value of the property, but it's also the lease income that they make off of those units. And so that's why when I was answering Councilmember Poo's comments, I mentioned that if we're going to do a self-storage project, the bigger the better as far as city revenue goes. Maybe not as far as, you know, what the design and other things are, but if we're going to use this precious land, we should do more rather than less, because it won't bring in sales tax. It won't bring in buying power to our other neighboring businesses. It'll bring in property tax, and so we should maximize that as much as possible if that's the direction council wants to go.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, so I don't see any other questions. Lloyd, what do you advise? Should I read the recommendation as listed?
Item requires 2 separate motions. And I don't believe the clerk has read the title of the ordinance yet. So someone should make a motion, and this is recommendation number 2 in the staff report. Motion to waive full reading and introduce the attached ordinance by title only, and then have the clerk read the full title and then vote. And then there'll be a second motion to approve the first reading and waive future reading of the ordinance.
Okay, so I will move recommendation number 2, which is motion to waive the full reading and introduce the attached ordinance by title only. The city clerk will read aloud the full title of the ordinance. And I believe Vice Mayor Lau had seconded that.
Yes.
Okay, so the city clerk can now read ordinance 671.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of San Gabriel, California, to adopt a mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and to approve planning case numbers ZC 19-001 and TMAP 19-008, a planned development overlay zone and tentative parcel map for the project at 414 to 420 South San Gabriel Boulevard.
Okay, and the Assistant City Clerk Bonus will now take the vote.
Councilmember Ding,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Pooh,
No.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Aye.
Mayor Menchaca.
Aye.
Motion passes by a vote of 4-1.
Okay, and then the next motion I will make is number 3, which is motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance and to waive future readings of the ordinance. And the second would be schedule the second reading and adoption of the ordinance for the next regular city council meeting. The second reading will require a majority vote of the total membership of the council. So do we have a second?
Second.
Vice Mayor Lau. Okay, and I stand corrected. I'm sorry, it's Assistant City Clerk Bonus, but it will be our Chief City Clerk, Sharon Clark, who will take the vote, please.
Councilmember Ding,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Pooh,
No.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Aye.
Mayor Menchaca.
Aye.
Motion passes by a vote of 4-1.
Okay, thank you. So the next item is new business.
Consideration to approve resolution number 60-20-68, approving a purchase and sale agreement with the Alameda Corridor East Construction Authority on behalf of the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments for real property located at 405 South Del Mar Avenue. Presentation will be made by Economic Development Manager Dominica Megardichin.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. Dominica Megardichin, Economic Development Manager for the City of San Gabriel. The item before you asks for Council's consideration to approve a resolution approving a purchase and sale agreement with the Alameda Corridor East Construction Authority, or ACE, on behalf of the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, the COG, for real property located at 405 South Del Mar Avenue in the City of San Gabriel. Please note that Mark Christoffels and Mark Mendoza with the COG and with ACE, respectively, have joined us for this meeting tonight. As you know, at the conclusion of the Alameda Corridor East Trench project in August of 2018, the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments declared this property as surplus left over from the project, and the city had first right of refusal. We have been working diligently with ACE, the COG, and the related companies, the developers that the city has chosen to work with, to purchase this property for use on the city's first ever affordable housing project. An appraisal was conducted on the property in August of 2018, which shows the 1.98 acres of land value valued at $3,015,000. The city has partnered with Related to secure financing for the site acquisition and development of the site. Recently, staff has learned of legislation AB 1486, which goes into effect January 1st, 2021, and expands the state's Surplus Land Act to facilitate affordable housing developments in California. The COG has expressed its desire to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with the city before the end of the year, and this effort allows the city to be involved in and to facilitate the affordable housing development. The purchase and sale agreement before you provides for a due diligence period during which the city plans to do an in-depth investigation of the site to confirm that the property is feasible for the development. We plan to utilize grant funds to complete these investigations. The PSA also provides for an extended escrow period and options to extend the escrow while securing funding, as the agreement is contingent on us securing funding for the site. With your approval tonight, we will sign the agreement, open escrow with a $100 deposit for the site. In the event that after our investigations, if the site is deemed not feasible, or if we're unable to secure the funds, we have the option to cancel the agreement and forfeit the escrow deposit. During the due diligence period, the developer will begin to work on entitlements and community engagement as they have prepared a community outreach plan. We plan to incorporate council and community input on this development opportunity. The teams involved have had very thorough and intentional next steps to make sure that this is the right opportunity for our community and that the communities involved in bringing this affordable housing development to San Gabriel. With that, it's staff's recommendation that City Council consider approving Resolution 20-68, approving the PSA and authorizing the city manager to execute the PSA and any other documents related to the purchase. At this time, I'll turn it over to Lloyd Pilchin with Omlo Law to go over any specifics from the purchase and sale agreement.
Thank you, Dom. Lloyd Pilchin. I'll just add that the resolution before you also provides for the city manager in consultation with the city attorney to make any non-material changes that to the purchase and sale agreement that may come up in the next few days. I'll just quickly go over material terms that this property is described in Assessor's Parcel Map Book 5362, page 017, and the property is parcels 901, 902, and 903. The purchase price is $3,015,000. The deposit, as Dom mentioned, is $100 at this time. And the escrow period is, and due diligence period is 6 months, with an option, 2 options for the city to continue to extend those periods for an additional 6 months each. We're here if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Before we start with the council deliberation and discussion, I just wanted to make the announcement that the time for public comment of this item is closed. Chief City Clerk, read any comments received.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have not received any comment on this item.
Okay, thank you. And now we can start with the council deliberation and discussion. Are there any questions, comments from council?
I'll
Well,
go ahead and make a
Councilmember
comment,
Fu
Madam
and then
Mayor.
Vice Mayor Lau.
Thank you. So yeah, I appreciate staff bringing this forward. I do recognize it's a little bit of had to be done a little bit at the last minute due to some state legislation, but it is a project that we at the city have been working on now for almost a couple of years, and it's for a very good purpose to be able to bring some more affordable housing stock to the city. So I, for one, am fully supportive. We're really only putting $100 at risk here. And the site itself has undergone some previous environmental review and so forth. So hopefully the cost of some of the due diligence won't be too great. And you know, because I think the benefit will far outweigh, you know, especially as we get the related companies involved with the, you know, with the actual architecture and planning and construction of the project. You know, to the benefit to the community will be really great, and to us right now at the moment the cost is very, very low, and I think it would be really a great statement on behalf of the city to support and encourage this type of development. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Lau.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is a vacant lot and used to be for storing equipment from Alameda corridor project. That's the lowering the railroad 30 feet below ground. And now the construction is done. So COG is willing to sell it to the city of San Gabriel, and I'm so appreciative, and it's probably the only chance that we can have affordable housing, because the city does not own any other land, period. And we have RENA numbers, 3,000 required by state and other, SCAT also require us to build that many units and a lot of them, you know, for affordable housing. And this is the only chance we have. So I approve this, and I'm so happy that we can work with Related, the company that has good reputation. However, I think we need to build as many units as possible, because those 3,000 renters number, we won't be able to fulfill, you know, if it's only going to build 10 or 15 units. Okay, so this is what I want to make sure the developer can come up with a real good design, and yeah, so I support this sales. And thank staff for moving this forward. You know, after a couple of years, it's about time we make a decision. Thank you.
Any other comments from council?
Yeah.
Councilmember Ding?
Yeah. First of all, I support affordable housing. Okay, and but I also know our city not too many land. So thanks to staff to have this kind of opportunity, find this kind of the space for future development for the affordable housing. And also, based on the right now agreement, it's not cost too much more money for the city expense. So I definitely the support this purchase. And hopefully for the future, I hope have find a good developer ready bring the affordable housing for our community. Thanks.
Great. Any other comments, questions? Well, I too, I'm very supportive of it. It's been an ongoing work in progress. I know we do have discussed plans to do some outreach to the surrounding areas to make sure they know what's taking place and find out some ideas they may have. We all want affordable housing, but within that category, does that mean veterans? Does that mean families? Does that mean seniors? Those are discussions that will continue to take place, but we do want to get the surrounding neighborhood involved with these discussions and further dialogue. But I too like to move forward with this project. And so can I have a motion?
Motion to approve the recommended action.
Okay.
Second.
Councilmember Cook and okay, Councilmember Singh. That's okay, Vice Mayor. You next time.
Yeah, I motion too many.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's okay. Always welcome. So we have a first and a second, and if there's no other discussion, Chief City Clerk, please take the vote.
Councilmember Ding,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrington,
Aye.
Councilmember Pu,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Liao,
Aye.
Mayor Menchaca.
Aye.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you to the staff and to everyone who made this possible in such a short period of time. Well appreciated. Okay, next item, please.
Public comment, Madam Mayor, we have no public comment for this section.
Okay, City Manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have two quick things for the council tonight. Actually one for the council and one for the community. First, thank you and a goodbye. Unfortunately, Ken Louie, this will be his last meeting with the city. He's reached the end of his contract term and he's being replaced. Very difficult to do, but our new finance director will start in January. And hopefully this will be a good transition. We're going to be very sorry to miss Ken. He's done an incredible job through one of the most difficult times in any city's history. And he came in and fit in with our crazy executive team from day one and became part of the family and has added to the crazy. And I say that with the best of all intentions. So Ken, thank you so much for all the work that you did and for keeping the ship afloat. And I wondered if you wanted to say a couple of words since this will be your last chance to do it.
Thank you, Mark, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. Yeah, again, thank you. The ability to serve in this unprecedented year. I mean, even without COVID, so much happened. I mean, all the civil unrest throughout the year, the fires and the earthquakes. It was just such an incredible year and just full of challenges. And I think we actually broke the record for the number of different ways you could open the EOC. It's incredible. Special thank you to Mark for all his leadership. And he really just creates a great culture here. The department heads are incredible. And so again, thank you, City Council, and we look forward to hearing great things about the City of San Gabriel.
And then thank you, Mayor. And for those who can't see, there was a rousing standing ovation on our video call for Ken. A little bit odd in these times that we can't show our appreciation, but we'll be out of this. The second thing is kind of a pardon our progress to the community. Today, we kicked off our paving project, and there will be 12 miles of paving throughout the city in the next month that will receive various treatments ending in a full slurry seal coat. And those streets will look brand new to the folks who live and drive on those streets. They'll be, each street will be closed for no more than the daytime that we're doing the work on it. So there won't be any overnight closures or anything like that. And the whole process will be very quick for those folks living on or driving on those streets. It's going to be quite disruptive because 12 miles is a lot of our city, which is a good thing. But the bad thing is that it will be disruptive throughout the city. Luckily, we're able to get this done when folks are supposed to be staying home anyway. So hopefully we'll take advantage of that and remind folks that if you're on the street and complaining about it, then it's probably because you shouldn't be out there. And I say that tongue in cheek, but it's a good thing that we're doing. So with that, I would hand it back to you, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mark. I also wanted just to say a few words for Ken. You know, I believe you're in retirement. You retired and you were willing to come back in the worst of times and the best of times too. I mean, very challenging. And I want to thank you for that, because I don't think people realize that, you know, it takes a special person to want to put themselves through that. And clearly you like challenges. And you've become family too. I mean, you've been there for all the department heads. You've been here for council. And so I just wanted to just acknowledge the fact that you came out of retirement to help us during a very difficult time. I think that's how you were kind of baptized. You know, you came in and it was COVID. Things just turned around so quickly. So I want to thank you for that, and you know, for taking care of our city and our books and just the family. You are part of the family. So if you get bored, you know, you can always come back, maybe do some special projects if needed. But thank you. And I think Vice Mayor Lau would also like to say a few comments.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Ken. You know, you came to rescue us because we're in the middle, you know, confusing on this budget, you know, for the past couple of years, but you straightened all out. And with your experience, you make it real clear and very simple. So really appreciate your help. Thank you. And good luck to your future endeavor. I'm sure you're not going to retire. You're going to find another city and move on another, you know, interim financial director's job. So good luck to you. Thank you.
Good luck. And for everyone to know, there's not that many finance directors. It's a very difficult position to find. And so you found your niche, Ken, but I hope you do take some time to rest and continue to be safe. So with that, thank you again. And I will move to the next item, which is council comments and conference meeting reports. Are there any comments from council in that category? Councilmember Poop?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First to Ken, yes, thanks for coming on board and seeing us through this very difficult time. Ditto all the comments that have already been made. Please say hi to Jaden for us. Please feel free to come back and visit anytime. We're always willing to accept volunteer hours. And yeah, you know, hopefully this won't be the last time we'll get to see you, and at some point we'll be able to have a real actual get together to properly thank you, because it's probably more challenging time than any I can remember in terms of finances, and you've handled it really, really well and really helped us clarify, I think, a lot of things which will serve and inure to the benefit of the city and our community, you know, going forward. So thank you again for that. As far as meetings and so forth, I did want to report on that HERE Commission Town Hall meeting, because contrary to the public comment that we received at the beginning of the evening, we did have a very, I think, well-attended town hall meeting. At one point, there was over 20 people participating in it. There was a very robust, lively, and positive discussion. I believe it went about 2 hours long. You know, I think sometimes we can always do maybe a little bit better job of publicizing things. It's not always that every community member will hear or see about things that are happening all the time. But I think for what it was intended to be, I think that it was very successful, and the community members who did participate asked good questions. Mayor Menchaca and I both were attending and provided, you know, just honest, straightforward answers as much as we could. And yeah, I felt very good about it. Each time that we've done outreach and engaged with the stakeholder group with respect to the HERE Commission, one is, I think I learned something. I hope others learn something. And two, I feel like, you know, it brings us just that much closer to a better mutual understanding of each other. And just a reminder, I guess today is the deadline to apply for the commission.
It
So it's
was
supposed
at
to be
5 p.m. Yeah, so it's over.
5 p.m. Okay, so applications are closed, but we do have already a pretty good number of applicants, and so I think we're very pleased with that, and we will work towards scheduling the interviews and so forth, and the rest, and figuring out the rest of the process for the initial here commissioners. I think over the next couple of weeks or so. Also wanted to report briefly on Lunar New Year Festival, because Rebecca and Perez, our community services and interim mission playhouse director, and I have begun some conversations with respect to that. We would like to do something to make sure that we don't let this tradition fall by the wayside. We are still working with KCM agency just to see what might be possible. Of course, the COVID environment is our biggest concern, and while we don't anticipate being able to do a full in-person event that we would normally have of like 15,000 attendees and so forth, we may be able to do something, or if not even just a smaller scale drive-in type of event, then certainly some kind of a video production event, so that we can commemorate that tradition and make sure that we, celebrate. Because I think actually, we're coming into a period of time. Some of our staff are now, maybe even as early as this week, going to be able to get the vaccine. We're coming into a period of time where there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that we should start looking forward to opening up and actually being able to be in person again. I don't know, maybe actually I do know some people who say that they're really thriving and don't want to be in person with other people, but I'm not one of them. I definitely miss the in-person contact. So in any case, the point here being simply that we will try to come up with something, and at a future council meeting, I'll report on what that something is, and it will certainly be with a very much reduced budget from what we've produced in the past. And obviously, again, with COVID considerations, sort of foremost in our minds. So thank you for allowing me to report on that as well.
Okay, any other comments or reports from council? Councilmember Harrington?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to thank Ken for all his work that he's done for us, and he really has been an asset. So with that, I really appreciate your service. For everyone else in the community, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Enjoy your time with family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dean?
Yeah, thanks, Ken, your service. Enjoy your retirement. Okay. Yeah, actually, for me, it's new on board and just learning from you. But next year you'll leave, so I miss you. Okay, all right, and thank you for service and learning the financial from you. Okay, even we cannot face to face, but we through the Zoom we have the personal face to face with the Mark, right, together to communicate. Yeah, thank you. And then this year the last meeting. Though everybody stay safe, stay home, and hopefully the year 2020 will be going so we can overcome the pandemic, like wildfire, whatever, any things. Okay, if we bring the good thing to the new year, bad things put it back. Okay, everybody, happy holiday, happy new year.
New beginnings with 2021. Yeah. Well, I wanted to, a couple comments. The first one regarding the HERE Commission, and I'll just add that I think we've gotten the most applications for any commission than we've in the past. We have 14 applicants and we have 7 spots. So those interviews will be conducted beginning of the year. More information will be forthcoming. Regarding the advertisement or the outreach that we did, I I know, I saw it firsthand because early on, people were asking me, well, where's the information? And it went through every social media. It went through the City Beat, which is the weekly email that goes out. If you're not on it, get on it. But the banner in particular on the website, I did have someone complain that it wasn't there. When I went there, it was there. So it was on the banner. I know Jonathan, posted it on, at least I saw Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, but I know there's some other, I think there's another one, Weibo, that he also did. So there was extensive outreach. And it was, I think the turnout was wonderful, as Councilmember Pooh said. So I'm very pleased with the virtual town hall that we had. I think people who were there felt that it was worth their time, and they got a lot of information. And as always, as the ad hoc committee, we learn from every single session. We'll all learn more about the applicants, and because it will be done publicly, and the information will be made available as we always do with our various outreaches. Second, I know there is quite a lot of excitement that we are going to have our traditional Santa Claus on the fire truck, but there is going to be some adjustments. I want to thank the fire department for making this work within the guidelines of our health department. But I want to make very clear that we have safety procedures. It's on the website and it's on every social media that we have, that you need to please, this is not an opportunity for people to gather together for parties. We want everyone to be in your front yard, but please be safe. Use your mask. We're hoping for physical distancing, and Chief Wallace and his team will be watching. And unfortunately, if they feel that it's not a safe activity, it can be canceled for those neighborhoods in the following days. So please, be mindful, and let's just make this an exciting tradition. I wanted just to read out real briefly the route, but again, you could call the fire department too if you need to get the route, but everyone is posting this. On December 20th, it would be the southwest area. December 21st will be the southeast. December 22nd, northwest, and December 23rd, which is the last day, northeast. So if you want specific streets, again, there's various ways you can find out, but you can even make a phone call if you need to, City Hall, fire department, go on all our social media. So please, be safe out there when this tradition takes place. It's an exciting time. We all need something to kind of bring the jolly in our spirits. It is a tough time. We are still in lockdown, so it is unfortunate, but hopefully 2021 will be better. I also wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and just please be safe and be healthy, because those numbers are growing, and unfortunately in our city in particular. But I know we can pull through. So there's a future ahead, and we're all trying to make plans to try to bring some normality as we ease into it. But we're not there yet. So continue with all your safety procedures and physical distancing, and wear that mask. So that's all I have to say for now. Under closed session, well, we will resume after this meeting. And with that, I wanted to adjourn the regular scheduled meeting, which is tonight. And the next meeting will be on January 19th. And the January 5th meeting has been canceled. So the next regular meeting again will be held on Tuesday, January 19th, 2021, 6:30 p.m. And council and staff will resume to closed session after this. So thank you, and have a good evening, everybody. Good night.